This 1 Degree Outside video is sponsored by the Topsfield Fair, America's oldest fair. You can pre-order your admission, meal, and ride tickets today at topsfieldfair.org and join the fun October 4th through 14th, conveniently located on Route 1, just off of Interstate 95.
Hi, Matt Noyes. Tuesday Insights, the deeper dive into meteorology. So much to cover. I know a lot of you have interest down in Florida. We've been hearing from you. We're going to take good care of you right now. Going to show you where we expect frost in New England in the next couple of nights. Hurricane Milton will give you the fast facts that are very impressive on this storm, what's going to be happening when it comes through Florida, and we'll look through New England's weekend in the Topsfield Fair 7-day coming up at the end of the video. Keep in mind the 14-day always on our app. Noyce's 1 Degree Outside weather. All right, Three Dog Night performs tomorrow night at the Topsfield Fair. Big tip of the cap to Topsfield. Our partners, our sponsors here at 1 Degree Outside through the fair dates now through October 14th. Lots of different events going on tomorrow, but for the performance by Three Dog Night, it is a classic fall feeling that'll be in place tomorrow evening. All right, meanwhile, in the last 24 hours, hadn't been a lot of rain in the country. What's new, right? We did get some here at home. And then down in Florida, there's been some precursory rain that's coming well ahead of Milton, which is expected to arrive to Florida as we get into Wednesday evening and night. But notice our own rain, nice to pick up a little bit anyway for the water table. We'll take whatever we can get. That came down yesterday. This was all as a jet stream trough, a dip in the jet stream we've talked about here in Insights, continued to carve out, and there'll be more of this coming up. And when you get this dip in the jet stream, it opens the door to cooler air out of Canada, and that's what's building in these next couple of days. So today, you can see a lot of the countries under the influence of high pressure. We've got a fair sky. Wednesday, we are going to find some building clouds and maybe a pop-up shower, a 30% chance of that here and there. As another disturbance comes in, that jet stream trough still carves out, and cooler air continues to build in as well. You can see that here, predicted high temperatures for tomorrow in green 50s. By Thursday, the deeper green 40s. So there is some really chilly stuff, real definite fall feel that we'll show you here in just a couple of moments. All right, meanwhile, this is Milton. What an impressive storm. You had a very well-developed eye. You lost that eye for a while as it reorganized, and you've regained the eye now, appearing at the center of the storm. The takeaways, some of the impressive facts with this thing: fifth lowest barometric pressure on record in the Atlantic per the National Hurricane Center. Saw a post from Phil Klotzbach out of Colorado State University that in the era from 1979 onward, where satellites kind of monitor this stuff, it would qualify as fourth. Third fastest intensifying storm by wind on record. It strengthened some 80 knots over the course of just 24 hours. In terms of the barometric pressure, you talk about a bomb, right? We hear bombogenesis, 24 millibars of barometric pressure drop in 24 hours. This one dropped by over 70 in 24 hours. It is remarkable. It's one of the strongest October storms on record. It's been going through eye wall replacement cycles. What does that mean? Look, a hurricane is basically a self-sustaining heat engine. And at the core of that heat engine, what is really the intricate part of the whole process is the eye. Around the eye, or the center of the storm, which was so well defined, we lost it for a while under what's called the central dense overcast, and you're going to start to see it appearing again. But what happens is that eye wall, which is the worst wind and rain around the center of the storm, that's kind of driving the heat engine. And what ends up happening is it does from time to time cycle. It breaks down, the storm will weaken a bit, and then it builds back up again. One of the things that can help is if you can get it in the middle of an eye wall replacement cycle when it makes landfall, but you never know whether that's going to happen or not. It also can cause wobbles in track. So when you look at the peak storm surge out of the National Hurricane Center, important to note, peak storm surge is almost a worst case scenario. What the Hurricane Center does is they put out the 90th percentile, 90th% worst case scenario of what may happen with storm surge. Is a huge area of 12 feet plus, which really would be 12 to 20 feet of storm surge that would come in, a wall of water coming in off of the ocean. That does include Tampa and Palm Harbor. That goes all the way down through Venice and Port Charlotte, for that matter. As we get closer, we'll be able to share with you here at 1 Degree Outside the most likely storm surge. But it's too early to do that because a lot of that really depends heavily on the precise track of where the storm is going to be coming ashore. One thing that's going to be happening regardless, though, is the wind field will be expanding. As the storm comes into Florida, you've got a huge area with a potential for greater than 100-mile-per-hour winds. This would be extensive damage. The damage will be catastrophic near the eye, wherever that should come ashore, and this will give long-lasting, widespread power outages from northern Florida down to south central Florida through Lake Okeechobee, Orlando, all the way out to Daytona and Cocoa Beach. All will be subject to getting some long-lasting power outages out of this. It's going to be a mess. You can see on the timing of the winds as they come in with hurricane force and major hurricane status likely. They really do settle in Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. The storm crosses Florida during the overnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning. It's back off the eastern coast of Florida by Thursday early afternoon, and then it actually reorganizes and strengthens. But by that point, it's buzzing along, and it's headed off to the east. So in terms of the latest advisory from the Hurricane Center, I don't know what time you're going to be watching this, so I would always encourage you, if you have interest down in Florida, to check that out at the Hurricane Center website. But the bottom line, your cone of probability as we get to Wednesday evening and night is still fairly large, and that's because this cone is not random the way that it's drawn, and it doesn't change from one storm to the other. What the Hurricane Center does is they pick their best track, but they acknowledge the fact that they have an average error of dozens of miles either side of that at a couple of days out. So that's how the cone gets drawn. Your average error, which means the storm really may track anywhere inside of this cone, which would bring it again somewhere across central Florida near Orlando as it weakens from a 3 to a Category 2 storm by Thursday morning, and then off the coast of Cocoa Beach and continuing to travel east out of the Gulf Stream, where it reorganizes a bit as it continues to move off to the east. So that's the overview on how the Hurricane Center sees this breaking down. With regard to rainfall, this whole purple stripe that you see is where we get over 8 inches of rain. There will be amounts that will go over a foot. If you were to add in the rain over the last several days, I mean, it's even more than that. So flooding, a big problem across the interior of Florida, where you tend to get some drainage in Florida, a little bit better than you might in, let's say, the mountains that we saw across North Carolina with Helene. But at the same time, flooding is going to be a significant and substantial risk with this. And you can see that kind of highlighted with the overall risk being focused across the Sunshine State. Tornado risk is up only because the storm is going to be so strong as it comes in. Scattered tornadoes for a lot of Florida by the way things look right now. Here at home, it is a very different story. With that jet stream trough, with that cooler air that's coming in, not only do we build some fair weather bubbling cumulus clouds on Wednesday, but there will be a couple of scattered showers, particularly in northern New England. Southern New England has about a 30% chance of an afternoon shower to pop up. It wouldn't be a big deal for you, but there'll be a couple of raindrops floating around. Thursday morning, this is the day that we've been talking about, that you might see a couple of snowflakes across the North Country in New England. Be ready to send us the pictures via our app or on our community gallery page of our website, if you do, by the way. That would be early on Thursday. During the course of Thursday, that doesn't make it down to central and southern New England, but there may be a rain or snow shower still around in the North Country. Friday looks like a good day for us. We actually start to rebound on temperature by Saturday, when we may be able to get back above 70 degrees in a lot of central and southern New England. So for this upcoming night tonight, notice where we've got temperatures down into the 30s. Fryeburg, Maine, may get all the way down to the freezing mark. So it's a frost, if not a freeze, in parts of northern New England. I can highlight in blue where the frost is most likely. It is possible, notice in southwestern New Hampshire, that we see a little pocket of frost or two during the overnight tonight. Mostly it's going to be north of Laconia. When you come across much of northern New England, the area is shaded in blue. Then we get through the day tomorrow. We're in the 50s north and 60s south. And again, tomorrow night, there's a chance of frost. Different spots, though. This time, there's less in the way of cloud cover in western New England, and some of our greatest frost risk will be from the Berkshires, at least in the valleys, running to the north through the Green Mountains, and then again across the far north country. So southern and eastern New England, we talked about in pattern predictions, your better chance of frost comes next week, not this week. Thursday's high temperatures, mostly 50s, but remember I showed you some 40s on that national map for us? There they are. North Country may not get out of the 40s on Thursday. That is one cool feel. Thursday night, we slide back to the 30s in some of northern and western New England again. Friday, you start to make some rebound. You come back into the 60s, and as I mentioned, by Saturday, we should be able to break 70 in some spots. The weather looks exceptional as we get to the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. The Topsfield Fair 7-day forecast. There's 38 special on Thursday evening after Three Dog Night on Wednesday evening. Friday brings Maddie and Tay. There's the weekend looking wonderful. There may be a couple of scattered showers around by the last day of the fair on Monday the 14th, but that still should be a pretty decent day. Nonetheless, it is great stuff that's ahead of us. Again, just a reminder, you want the 14-day forecast. You can grab it. Get Noyce's 1 degree outside weather app on both the App Store and Google Play. Hope this gave you a good deep dive into the meteorology, particularly with what's going on with that amazing storm Milton. See you again later at 1degreeoutside.com.